You say slow down. I don't like to move too fast. It drowns the truth with things that are not real, and I really want.
This is part 10 of the Craftsman Emerson Generation 2 Drill Press Set Rebuild series. If you haven't seen part 9, click the link at the top of the screen. In this video, we're going to be wire wheeling a whole bunch of parts. Hello everyone, I'm Jeff and welcome to my shop. We got a lot to cover, so let's get to it. Okay, everything we're going to be doing today on this video is going to be done on my Craftsman block grinder here. I've just got a wire wheel on there. And these are the non-OEM column collars that I've got for this drill press. This is drill press A. All these parts are going to be for drill press A. Drill press B actually has the OEM column collars, but this one didn't have any, so I found these online and used them. So we're just cleaning them up. All these parts that we're cleaning up, well, most of these parts that we're cleaning up are going to get painted, so a lot of it we're going to have to be removing the previous paint. And this is the lock shoe for the base. It's cast iron and we're going to paint it. And some of these parts are going to be kind of small, so it's going to be hard to see them in my hands, and I apologize. I need to come up with a better plan on how to better film this stuff. So this is the terminal cover for the motor. And it has that dark gray, kind of a charcoal gray, blue gray Craftsman Emerson paint that is very resilient and a real pain in the butt to get off of stuff. And this is the motor support hinge assembly. And there's some areas on the inside of it there that are really difficult to get to with a wire wheel, so I'll be cleaning the rest of that off camera in my media blast cabinet. And this is the motor frame. And you'll see what I'm talking about with the paint here. This stuff just does not want to come off, and it's taking a lot of pressure on that wire wheel to get it to come off of there. And you've only got so much area to work around that wire wheel. For instance, the space between the wheel and the body of the grinder is only a couple of inches, so trying to get something that can fit between them and get like that center section on the inside here is really difficult. So that'll go to the media blasting cabinet as well. And this is the feed stop rod, or some people like to call it the depth gauge. In the owner's manual for this drill press, I think they call it a depth gauge, and it's got your scale on there. This is the motor mount hinge pin. And this is the power cord clamp that screws in on the side of the head. In the owner's manual, they call it the capacitor clamp or something like that, which it has nothing to do with the capacitor, so I don't know why they call it that. And then these are the motor base clamps. There's 4 of these, and these are what clamp the motor down inside that frame that you saw earlier. And occasionally you might see me drop something and bend down and pick it up. And these are the Stator Studs. There's 4 of them. So I'm sure somebody will probably bring up the fact that I'm wearing leather gloves while working on this wire wheel and how dangerous that is. And I've explained it on previous videos, but this is how I wire wheel stuff. So yes, the wire wheel could grab the glove, suck my hand into it, and break my fingers, wrist, all that good stuff. But this is how I've always done it, and I've been fortunate enough to not have an accident. These are the lock handles for the table and the head. And they do have some pitting on them. I could sand them down, but I don't think I'm gonna. I kind of like the texture of the pitting. And then these are the cylinders for those locks. You've got a sleeve, and then you've got a threaded cylinder, which is the nut. So what I do is I normally just clean the ends and then put them back on one of the handles and then run them to clean the sides. And then we'll clean the bores of them in the next video. And this is the lock screw for the Quill Lock. And these are the cylinders. We'll just slide them on there and clean the sides of them. And this is the belt adjustment clamp. It screws in on the side of the head casting, and there's a rod that goes down through the center of it. And we have the spindle sleeve, and then the various parts of the feed stop collar. That's the quick adjust feed stop collar. And then these are the jaws for the Jacob's chuck. There's 3 of them. And then we'll have the half nut or split nut for the Jacob's chuck, which there's 2 halves to it. And we have the hub pin. This is that pin that holds the spring inside the hub and the pinion all together. And then you've got the large set screw that goes in the base and locks the column in the base. And these are the motor governors. and dropped it. And we've got the Quill retaining ring. And then the Spindle Pulley retaining ring. The pivot pin clip. The motor shaft key. And then a bunch of the different screws, nuts, and washers. So I think one of those like media tumblers, like you can get from Harbor Freight or something, would make a lot of this stuff easier to clean. Just put it in there and let it go. But a lot of these parts are really small, and I don't want to have to go digging for them or have the chance of losing them in the media or whatnot. So I'm going to continue doing stuff this way until I come up with a better idea. But it gets tedious, especially when you've got like 12 of these flat washers to clean. Which I guess, I mean, you could probably just buy a pack of flat washers and replace them. But when you've rebuilt as many tools as I have, that would get expensive over time. I try not to replace hardware unless it needs to be replaced. These are those cone or shaped washers that go on the motor shaft. And like I said, various screws and whatnot. The vice grips definitely help out with this small stuff. Basically, I just clamp them in, do half of it, then rotate them in the vice grip and do the other half and move on to the next part. So everything you're seeing in this, 20-minute long video today probably was about 4 or 5 hours of work. These are the little pins for the governor. These are the feed handle rods. And they do have chrome on them, but the chrome is chipping and doesn't look great. So these are probably going to get stripped. This is the sleeve for the Jacob's chuck. And then we've got the Jacob's chuck body. Now that center section of the Jacob's chuck body has some really sharp edges, and you got to take it really slow. Otherwise, it'll get sucked right out of your hands while you're working on a wire wheel. This is the pinion. And then we have the quill. There's a little bit of rust in there after I rinsed it and didn't dry it out really well. We'll get that out later. It's just surface rust. And this is the spindle. So like the pinion, really on the wire wheel, I'm mostly concerned with the splined area where I'm at here. The rest of it, we'll hit it with the wire wheel, but we're going to be cleaning it in the lathe as well. So that splined area is really the target when it comes to the wire wheel. This is the guard plate, and this and the motor mount are the two pieces that are the hardest to get this dark gray Craftsman Emerson paint off of. Every once in a while when I soak one in simple green and pull it out, this stuff will just slough off of there. But I would say the majority of the time, this paint is very resilient, and it requires a lot of pressure with that wire wheel to get it off of there. Now, I could use some paint stripper. I've got several videos where I use some kind of citrus paint stripper that's non-toxic. And maybe with drill press B, that's the route we'll go, just so you can see, which one of these methods requires the least amount of effort. And even if I were to take this and put it in the media cabinet, it would take longer probably to use the abrasive media and remove that paint, because it's so resilient. And you've got to kind of navigate around that wire wheel in a way that it's not going to suck that part right out of your hands. Like it wants to catch on that hole in the center of it and yank it. We are going to be using my angle grinder with some wire wheels on it, and maybe clamping this just down to a table and hitting it with that wire wheel would be a little easier. I'm not sure. And like I said, this is the motor mount here. And the paint actually came off of this a little easier. But it still gave me a tough time. And there are some weird angles that are kind of a pain to get to. But we're able to get this cleaned up. These last two pieces are the end shields for the motor. And I'm only going to be able to get really kind of the outer areas of it with this wire wheel. The rest of it we're going to have to hit with the media blaster. So if I was going to use paint stripper, I would have used paint stripper on these two parts, the frame for the motor mount, and the guard plate, and then maybe the larger cast iron pieces. But the problem with the paint stripper is you've got to let it sit for 24 hours, and then got to come back and I usually use a pressure washer to get it off of the parts, and that takes some of the paint with it. But we're able to get them, fairly well cleaned up. And that is going to wrap up this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe. You got any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below. In the next video, we're going to be wire wheeling with the angle grinder, most likely. And as always, I appreciate the support, and I will see you next time.